praise and thanks be to Allah, but most of them don't know. Lillahi ma fis samawati wa ma fil ard. And to Allah belongs whatever is in the heavens and earth. Verily, Allah is al-Ghani, free of any needs. He is rich, doesn't need anything, worthy of all praise. Al-Hamid. I think this has given us a good clue. I want to share with you something that, for me, is very important. Drawing close to Allah by taking care of your parents and showing honor and respect to them is a part of Islam. Some people went to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, one time, and a person asked, he said, I carried my mother on my back and walked her around circumambulating the Kaaba, performing a ritual in Islam, but carrying his mother on his back so she wouldn't have to walk. He said, have I fulfilled my mother's rights on me, by doing this act? And Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, not even for one birth pain that she had while delivering you. Somebody else asked Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, well, who has the most rights on me? I know Allah has got the most rights because I have to worship Him for creating me and everything He gives me. And then, of course, the prophets have their rights over us to be obeyed. So he said, after Allah and His messenger, then who has the most rights on me? He said, your mother. He said, then who? He said, your mother. He said, then who? He said, your mother. And then your father. So see what's the level of respect, honor, and dignity that is due to the parents. I think anybody that hears these hadith would have to be impressed. There's a weak hadith. It's not, these others I've been mentioning are strong hadith. We know that the Prophet ﷺ said it. But even there's a weak one which says that the paradise is under the feet of your mothers. And one of my friends, he's from Syria, he was saying a very funny thing. He said he heard about this hadith, so his mother fell asleep on the couch, and he went over and lifted up her feet and looked under, and he said, I don't see anything. He was a little kid, He said, paradise is under the feet of the mothers. He looked, he said, I don't see anything. But for sure, regardless of whether that hadith is strong or not, the point is certainly true that if you want to enter paradise, one of the key things is you've got to please Allah. And you don't please Allah if you're not pleasing your parents. Except when they want you to do something that's not in Islam. Then obviously you can't do that. There's no obedience to the creation if it's disobedience to the Creator. Well, that makes sense. I mean, I can't see anybody not catching that. In my own case, I recall my father, may Allah have mercy upon him, after he entered into Islam, he contracted Alzheimer's disease. And he went from being one of the most brilliant individuals whom I've ever known in my life to a person who couldn't tell you his name, couldn't tell you where he was. He had no clue whatsoever anymore. Couldn't even take care of himself to even go to the bathroom. And Allah reduced him to this state. Allah tells you about that. Allah did certainly reduce him to this state of very being low. And that's up to Allah. He does that as a test. But in that condition, my other family members didn't want to care for my dad. They said, you know what, this is not our problem. That's his problem. And so we could just put him in the old folks' home and let him go at that. And this is not acceptable to me. I couldn't deal with that. And I feel very strong that Islam is commanding us, regardless of the condition of parents, we have to care for them the best we can. So we did. He came and lived with us for the next 5 years, or it could be 4 years now, I'm trying to remember, before he passed away. And no matter what he needed, no matter what was required, we never even thought twice about it. We said, do it. I recall one doctor telling me one time, he was newly assigned to my dad's case, and he was saying, I don't know how you feel about this, he said, but about the quality of life. And he started giving me this pitch, I guess doctors have to give you, about the quality of life and what's the condition of a person when they can't think anymore, can't take it themselves. He said, what would happen if it was necessary to put him on life support? Would you want to do that, or just let him die comfortably? After all, because there's no quality of life. I said, let me tell you something. We're Muslims. And for us, the quality of life is life itself. Whatever it is that Allah gave us, that's our quality of life. And we don't try to judge what the quality is for somebody else. If my father wanted life support and had said that, that's what we would do. And if he said he didn't want it, then we'd respect that. But in this case, where he hasn't said anything, we're going to do the best we can. We want him to stay alive as long as he can. They said, well, what's the benefit? I said, the benefit is for me, because Allah rewards me for taking care of my father or my mother as long as I can, as long as they're alive. I said, okay, well, just thought we'd tell you. I said, well, that's how it is. And I recall a nurse saying one time, well, we used to take my dad in several times a month, for different kinds of checkups, different things. And one nurse said, the best thing for him is if he would go into an old folks' home or something and just lay there and get pneumonia and die and just pass away. I said, my God, I will not let my father stay in a place where somebody has that kind of attitude. If I have to carry him on my back up and down the stairs, or, bring the food to him and take it out of my own mouth, this is my dad. I don't care, what he remembers or doesn't remember. I remember. That's my dad. And, Allah blessed me so much, because my own daughters, my own wife, and we cared for my dad to the extent that he died so peacefully and so easy. And it happened that my daughter was passing by his room on the very moment that he breathed his last breath, and he just went and passed away gently. And thinking back about it now, it was truly a miracle. I happened to be out of town that night. I was down in Alabama. And the brothers, as soon as they found out my father passed, immediately they bought me another ticket. The next morning I was right back up here again. And when I got here, everybody was so cooperative and helpful. We had nowhere to bury him because we had already arranged everything for Texas, but now here we are living in Virginia, and we didn't have those kind of arrangements. The people at the masjid were so kind. What they did, bless their hearts, they paid for every single thing, including the plot, because they said, we know you're not able to do that. Don't worry about it. Just, it's all taken care of. And then another miracle for me, I should say, maybe not miracle, but it's an amazing thing. I saw people that I hadn't seen in a long time just showing up from everywhere. People came from New York. People came from far, far away, from all directions. There were cars and cars and cars of people who had just come just because they'd heard my father passed away. And then we had the Salat al-Janazah. We went out to the grave site, and it was so amazing. There were so many people. The people there at the cemetery thought that it was the president of something that had passed away. And they were like asking, what's going on? Who is it? But it was very beautiful. And I remember that after we put my father down in the ground, and we began to cover him with the dirt. And it was funny because the machinery they used to cover it up, it wouldn't start. There was some problem with it. I can't remember what it was. And so suddenly all of these men gathered together quickly and started throwing the dirt in by the shovels and by their hands until they filled it up. And by the time the guy got his machinery started to move over, it was all done. They'd filled it up. It was amazing. It was so amazing. And everybody was making dua for my father, praying for him. And I really felt comfortable. I mean, of course I lost my father. My father happened, by the way, to be my best friend in my whole life up to that point. So it was more than just losing my dad. I lost my best friend. I lost, so much in that. But yet I gained. I gained because of the way we treated him. And I gained this beautiful love with Allah, because Allah